Hey, so we got a great show coming up today, but before we get going, I want to remind everybody that it's more important than ever to follow us on other platforms. So don't just watch us on YouTube, don't just watch us on Facebook. You have to follow us onto other platforms, most notably Library/Odyssey, both of them are / at the Liberty Advisor. Same thing with BitChute, same thing with Float, same thing with DLive. Also a text message opt-in. If you want to text LibertyAdvisor, one word, no spaces, to the number is 71441. Again, in the number field, if you're going to dial a number to somebody, put that as 71441. And then in the subject, put Liberty Advisor, and then that will get you on the text opt-in. You'll also be sent a free copy of my ebook. That's probably the one I'd recommend the most. And then also heading to the LibertyAdvisorShow.com. We'll have all the links to, if you want to join the Tim and John Show community, where there's hundreds of people already there, where it's all the articles that I save on a daily basis. All the articles John Snyson saves on a daily basis are all on our Discord, and then within the Discord there's an article section to see all that. But anyways, we've got hundreds of people on there, so highly recommend you guys check that out. All of those links can be found at the LibertyAdvisorShow.com. And then in the very near future, if you're watching this, it might already be the future, where we will have all different show links. So if you see us referencing a whole bunch of different articles and different videos and different websites, we will have those links on the website, just as a good place for you guys to remember. So that's the LibertyAdvisorShow.com. If you're interested in working with me, that's the LibertyAdvisor.com. Two different websites for different purposes. But anyways, thank you guys so much, and hope you enjoy the upcoming show we have for you coming shortly. Thank you. We're here with Tim James. Tim James, also a member of the Union of the Unwanted, so a lot of people might know him from there. And Tim and I, we're both named Tim. We both have a lot of different commonalities, I believe, in our story, which is why we want to have this today. So I think I've heard through the grapevine that you are or were a former financial advisor, and now you're in the health space. I am a financial advisor currently. And actually John is joining us in just a second as well. But I am a financial advisor that's doing things a little bit differently, and with crypto and a lot of alternative assets. So even my mindset's obviously a lot different than the average financial advisor that's out there. But we'll kind of wait for John to join, I guess, before we get kicked off. Oh, hey, so your video isn't on right now. But anyways, we're here with Tim James, and we're just getting this kicked off right now. And so Tim's also Union of the Unwanted. But could you let us know, you're just talking about, not in your earlier days, you were more interested in getting bigger and stronger and kind of all the more typical, I don't know if words in your head's more like the meathead type stuff. And then you now wanted to shift. No, believe me, I was at the point where in college I couldn't even touch either elbow, and I was, with my, couldn't touch my shoulder with my arms, and just doing nothing but like upper body type stuff. And then switched from that to doing ultra distance triathlons and 2 full Ironman, 5 halves. I've done like 220-mile bike rides going over almost 22 miles an hour. Done, Grand Canyon rim to rim to rim, all sorts of crazy stuff. And so it sounds like we've got a lot. And we almost even dressed the same too, with our color scheme shirts we've got on over here. So didn't plan that. But yeah, do you want to just tell us a little bit about your journey and how you went from being a financial advisor to now what you're up to in the health space?
Yeah, absolutely, brother. So I kind of goes back, just so everybody knows where I came from. I grew up over in Eastern Oregon in a small cattle and hay farm. So pretty much was raised redneck, chewing tobacco. My best friend was literally a rodeo star. Between the 2 farms, they had like horses and goats and chickens and pigs and dogs. And we had, cats and dogs and rabbits and geese and ducks and cows. And, it was a pretty good farm between the 2 farms. And, we had a lot of fun growing up as kids. And, fast forward, I played baseball for 30 years at a high level. That's where we were talking. It was all about, getting huge. You want to be big and strong and hit the ball harder and farther and be able to throw faster and run faster and all that stuff and perform.
Yeah, chicks dig the long ball, so that's what you got to go for.
Yeah, you do whatever you could to have an advantage over the other team or the other guy, right? Anything. If somebody said, "Hey, this will help you put on weight," it's like, give it to me. You didn't even. There was not even there was no research. It was just somebody just said this will work. Like, I'll take it. I would never cross the line and did steroids and any of that kind of stuff. There's quite a few guys actually in my school that did, and now looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, no wonder, because they were just like, ridiculous. But my point was that I grew up on the standard American diet, and it went fine when I was young. But then after I got out of college and baseball, and I was still playing baseball after that, but then I got a job, and then, got more sedentary, and then I started putting on weight every year, gaining a pound or two. And then finally health issues started happening. I started getting acid reflux. My doctor wanted me to go on Prilosec. That sounded weird, so I just stuck away from it, and I just stuck with the Tums and the Rolaids. And then it was like all day long eating that stuff like candy. Weight kept piling on. My energy started to wane. I started to develop eczema on both of my elbows. It got worse. Every year it was getting worse. It started cracking and bleeding, especially in the wintertime. For those listening that deal with it, it's really bad in the winter when we don't have sunshine. And then I got a huge patch of that stuff on my knee, another skin issue. And then I started bleeding rectally when I'd go to the bathroom. So it got really bad. And that went on for about 2.5 years with the bleeding deal. So imagine, as a financial advisor, you're trying to wear a white shirt. I couldn't even do it anymore. I had to wear dark colored shirts because I'd just bleed in them. Or if I was at a party at your house, I'd rub my elbows up against your wall on accident, and you have to clean your wall. I mean, it was terrible. I was like bleeding rectally. My elbows were bleeding. My knee was bleeding. And it sucked. I mean, life just wasn't fun. It was hard for me just to get out of bed and go walk the dogs. If I didn't have my dogs, I don't even know if I would have got out of bed, because they couldn't walk themselves. And I had that responsibility. So, and then finally on a vacation, I had to have an organ removed in the middle of the night. I was down just north of Tumbes in northern Peru, beautiful beach, planned this whole trip out. I destroyed the trip for my wife at the time and her dad, and had to be driven in the middle of the night, 6 hours to a hospital in Piora, and then sitting in a third world hospital in an a room where their examination table, and there's flies and bugs flying around in the light bulbs and stuff above me in the I don't know what I guess you just call them lights. I can't remember what they look weird, but and I'm thinking, wow, I paid health insurance my whole life and now I can't even use the damn thing. So that sucked. So they flew me to Lima, doped me up, flew me to Lima, and then I went right into surgery and had an organ removed. So what I learned from that experience was that my poor health doesn't affect just me, it affects everybody else around me. But I still didn't know what to do. So then fast forward a few years later, a buddy of mine on the baseball team gets Calais Mahoy gets cancer, stomach cancer, and he dies. He does chemo, surgery and that deals, and didn't work. Then put him on hospice. He lost 80 pounds. He didn't even look like himself. It was horrible. He had 3 little boys from ages 6 to 17 that he left behind. No insurance. We had to do a fundraiser. And then a few years later, my good friend Charles gets diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia. So now I'm just like, Jesus, at age 43. So this is the second person. Now, for me in my life, my mom or my grandma died of brain cancer. My aunt died of skin cancer. And these were horrible things, but they were way older. So you expect people to die of something. But now I had a buddy at 40 dying and another one at 43 that looked like he was going to die. And Charles is like, hey, man, I don't want to go out this way. I got to figure it out. I want to live for my son. I want to see my son graduate high school, and I want to go to Oregon State University for Father-Son weekend and do that deal. So I'm going to go to this place in Florida called the Hippocrates Health Institute. And they're like an all-natural healing clinic, a detox nutrition center, really. They don't heal anybody, but they teach you how to heal yourself. And that's what I learned. Nobody can heal you. You have to learn how to heal yourself, just like wild animals do. So what I did was I went there with him, no clue what was going on. And he's like, oh, by the way, when we get there, there's no meat, there's no dairy, there's no salt, there's no sugar, there's nothing cooked. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? It's like, what do you mean there's no meat? I'm like, I was freaked out. If it wasn't for him having cancer, there's no way I would have set foot in that place. But so we go there. Day 1, my acid reflux is gone. Day 2, we go to this class, and it's called internal awareness. And this doctor comes out and he starts teaching us from the time you eat food, what happens to the food all the way through your system until the food exits your body. And that was really eye-opening. And I was like, wow, how come we didn't learn this in school? This is amazing. But the scariest part was they showed cameras up inside people's colons that were unhealthy, like a 24-year-old female with breast cancer and colitis. And then you'd see the inside of her colon. It was like nasty. Or a 64-year-old man with multiple sclerosis and diverticulitis or something, or a 52-year-old female with breast cancer and parasites, and you see worms crawling around in her colon. And so I'm freaked out, and I'm like, I don't want to do that colon hydrotherapy deal, but the guy was trying to push on us. But at the end are you guys familiar with that is colon hydrotherapy?
Is that
Like
like a fancy word
just
for like eczema or enema, or I don't know what?
just like basically pump water and then cleanse everything out. Is that what that
Yeah,
is?
you sit on a tube rectally and water goes in and out of you gently for an hour and it cleans out your colon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when the doctor's talking about that, I elbowed Charles. I was like, look, dude, I came here to help you, but I'm not doing that deal. But by the time he got done 3.5 hour lecture and showing those videos and stuff, I was the first one to sign up. And I remember him looking at me and going, hey, Tim, you got 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag. And if you ever want to get your health back, you're going to need to clean it up. You got to maintenance the car. So I'm like, all right. So the next day I go in, they weigh me. I do the colon hydrotherapy deal. They weigh me again. I drop 10 pounds of impacted fecal material in a 1-hour session. So all I can tell you is that it made a big difference. Eating these clean, fresh foods and sprouts.
And what was that called again?
It's called a colonic or colon hydrotherapy. And I recommend,
I heard about it in Norway. Actually.
Yeah, I recommend you get 2 of them back to back, one on day 1 and then go back again the second day. Because once you dump all that stuff out, your body's going to be like, woohoo. And then your liver and your gallbladder and everything's going to dump a bunch of toxins. And then the next day you can sweep those out. Otherwise, they'll go back up your hepatic vein and back into your liver and you recycle.
That was gonna be my very next question. Like if it's something where, if you flush it out of your system, is then all of a sudden there's other things kind of rush in to fill the void. And so you sort of answered my question right there.
Yeah. You'll knock about 50% of those detox symptoms. And I had them when I was at the Institute because I went from, burgers and donuts and, cooking and all that stuff and just cake and candies and pies and ice cream right to, like living foods and sprouts and juices and all these green juices and water. Purified water. Not that I wasn't drinking water, but everything there is just like pristine. They have their own garden and everything. So I had like metallic taste coming off of my tongue. I was very irritable. I had night sweats the first couple of days when I was there. I'm trying to think what else. I didn't have.
Is this after the colonic hydrotherapy, or is this just
this was happening? This was happening right prior to right in the middle of it. Still, even after that, it knocked him back a little bit. I guess it would have been worse if I wouldn't have done the colonic deal. So, but some other people had it worse, man. Their arms were breaking out in rashes, their body, their neck, their face would break out in rashes. I saw parasites crawling out of people's pores. One lady at lunchtime had a parasite crawling out of her eye. And I'm sitting there going, now I know why it happened. See, because we live our body's in a really acidic state. We eat acid-based foods, acid-based drinks, and our body needs to be alkaline. So when you change the internal terrain and you stop eating, cooked food, and when you cook food, you turn it into acid. I mean, that's just what happens for the most part, especially high meat diets, high protein meat diets. That's a lot of acid. So coffee's high acid, Coca-Cola's pops, sugar is high acid. Anything with sugar in it's high acid. So I was a high acid diet, and that's why my gut and everything was all jacked up, and I was eroding basically. They put me on this alkaline deal. See, what we learned is that viruses, Tim, bacteria, mold, yeast, fungus, and parasites and cancers, mutagens, these thrive in an acidic, low oxygen environment. And that's the environment that I had created. When I went there, I changed my internal environment from my inputs, and I became a very high alkaline, high oxygen environment. So those harmful organisms now, I created an inhospitable environment for them. So they were exiting the body, they were leaving. And that's why parasites were leaving people's bodies, rectally through the skin and that type of stuff. And, people think of parasites being like big, long tapeworms, but there's also these little pinworms and hookworms. And there's lots of parasites that are small that you can't see. So the idea here is that to change your environment. So long story short, we come back. I follow the lifestyle. Charles follows it. In like 60 days, I lost 38 pounds. My eczema on both of my elbows is gone. 8 months later, the big, huge patch of eczema on my knee is gone. In 2.5 years, my buddy's cancer markers are toast. He's healthy. He never did chemo, surgery, none of that stuff. And I had to tell people about it, So we started teaching classes twice a week at the house for nothing. Just had people coming over, making them juices and dinners and showing them how I detoxed and cleaned myself up and healed. And a lot of people locally started doing it. And before too long, we started growing sprouts and delivering sprouts to about 40 to 50 cancer patients a week here in the Portland, Vancouver area. And then we started a company called Chemical Free Body. And I've been doing that for about going on my 6th year now.
No, very cool. And do you want to tell us a little bit about the Chemical Free Body and what you're doing over there to help people out?
Yeah, well, we just bring a lot of the educational awareness and make it simple, because people think that, having good health is difficult. It's not, So what we teach them is like, it's really important to get your digestive tract cleaned up, right? So we want to get that pathway of elimination clean so that you can get really good absorption of nutrition. And the more nutrition you can get through the intestinal lining into the bloodstream and into the cell, that's what's going to cut back your hunger cravings. See, the reason why people are starving today and we're overweight is because 85% of the nutrients have been farmed out of our soils. I mean, that's just the reality of it. So even if you're buying organic produce, it's still grown in soil that's 85% deficient. So if the soil's deficient, the plant's deficient. If you're eating the plant, you're deficient. Or if you're eating the animal that ate the plant, you're deficient because it wasn't in the soil. It's just that simple. This is not rocket science. So what we teach people to do is, do things that are going to get these nutrients back into your body. Eat foods that have been grown in nutrient dense soils. We have a product called Green 85. We called it Green 85 because it replaces the 85%. That's one of the tools in our toolkit that we use. But more importantly is the detox component. So getting that digestive tract clean through drinking lots of water. We have a product called Gut Detox that does that a very good job. It's an ancient formula from India. And then
now, is this like a program where you take this for 2 weeks straight and eat a certain, I mean, obviously it's a whole lifestyle change that you don't want to just go back eating burgers and stuff after this, but is there a certain, formula of, hey, you do this for 2 weeks and then you drink this other thing and then that's going to be some sort of detox for your colon, or what's sort of the best? And I imagine this is also in concert with the colon hydrotherapy, but can you kind of walk people through like what someone that's never done any of this stuff before, like where they should start if they've, been on your typical, meat and burgers and, diet like I am, and probably most people listening to this are?
Okay. Well, a lot of people don't like to make change in the beginning, right? So a lot of people will wait until a wheel falls off and then they have to change, and then it's too late. And then they go into a broken medical system that's just not working. I mean, we spend 3.3 trillion on healthcare and we're ranked 38th or 42nd in the world in health. So if you want to go into that system, it's not a good one. I mean, just walking into a hospital, you got a 5% chance of dying from something else that you went in there for, right? You're going to pick up some type of a bacteria or something that's like a super bug, and then they won't build it. Antibiotics won't work. So anyway, what we do is I've learned to meet people where they're at. Because in the beginning, I was a fanatic about all this stuff. I was like, you have to be a vegan and you have to, you have to cut all this stuff out and don't do this and don't do that. It just doesn't work for most people. They're not ready. They didn't go to the institute like I did. I didn't want to be plant-based at the time. I mean, I wanted to have a burger and I wanted to cook. I mean, I had a steak branding iron. If you would have came over, it said TJ on it for Tim James, and I'd brand the steaks and give it to you. I mean, so it was a birthday present somebody gave me. So, I grew up hunting and fishing. So, I didn't want to do it, but I felt so good. I'm like, I'm going to do this. And I committed to my buddy to do it because he healed himself. So where he's alive, I feel fantastic. It's been 10 years later. I keep getting healthier. So for new people, what we recommend first, before we even get to the products, is we have these things called our core 4 secrets. So here they are. Core secret number 1 is to drink half your body weight in liquid ounces of purified water daily. And the key word there is purified, Tim, because the water today is polluted. You can go 1,500 miles into the interior of these pristine lakes where there's no man been around, and the little 2 and 2.5 inch fish have both male and female organs today. Why? Because the estrogen mimickers from plastics are so pervasive in our water system today. So what
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Different, I forgot what they call the ectrazine or something that was in there.
Do
that's
you understand that?
affecting the estrogen levels. And
Yes.
I mean, that's something I've been in tune with for a very long time with in terms of, I get all my water, I go and I get it where it's pH balanced to raise up the pH on it. And I mean, I live in Phoenix, so we have probably some of the worst water in the country down here. It's, I have part per million meters, and it's like, it comes out of the tap at like 550 parts per million, which is, you're literally just drinking like all the sediment from the Colorado River and crap that's going into you. And
it's terrible. And
there's nothing more basic than the water you drink and the air you breathe. And they have us drinking, crap fluoridated water that's, in some places like Flint, basically not even edible. And then we also have other places, and then now they're not even letting us walk around, without having to have masks on. So, I'm sure you're probably familiar with like Wim Hof, like the deep breathing methods. I don't know if any of that's kind of incorporated into what, you advocate, but it's just, someone like me where I've sort of like half in, where I feel like half the stuff I do is like pretty healthy and pretty good. But then, I'll go out and have, chicken tenders fried or burger or something else. So I feel like I'm I'm like, I've got all the air purifiers and water purifiers and take a lot of different things to, naturally, and haven't taken any pharmaceuticals in probably 12 years. So it's like, I'm sort of like halfway in that world and like halfway not. And I sort of just need some extra push to get this. And I am, checking out right now. I typed in, the colon cleaning stuff, and it's really not even that expensive. It was like 3 sessions for like $155 I found online. Another one's for like 6 for $250. So it's really, when people take a look at all the money they're spending on all this crap and all this, various drugs that they're on. I mean, this is really a drop in the bucket, and it's the old adage, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, except everyone waits to the point that they need like 2 pounds of cure, and then they're on the broken Rockefeller medicine system that's just going to create another client for life. So I really like what you're doing, trying to break up, I guess, the medical cartel. But yeah, I am very interested in how you went from, hunter, meat eater, all the way to you're at right now. I mean, it just seems like a dichotomy that not a lot of people are willing to actually go through.
Yeah, that's true. Well, so let's finish these up because they're really important and they work. And I've been practicing these 4 core secrets for 10 years now. So the first one, again, is the water. You drink half your body weight in liquid ounces daily. It has to be purified. Number 2, with the water, though, is that if you're on city tap water, your water has to be restructured, because when you put water under these high pressure pipes, it coagulates the molecules. So instead of a 4 or 5 cluster molecule, you're going to get 20 to 25. What that means is that the molecules are big like a bowling ball, and you're trying to throw the bowling ball through a chain link fence. It's just going to bounce off. The chain link fence being your intestinal lining, right? So you're going to drink a lot of water, but you're going to be peeing all the time. And I did this for 8.5 years because I was telling everybody, drink half your body weight in liquid ounce of water daily, purify water. And I kept getting better and better at my purification systems as I learned. I was always upgrading. I'm on my 5th system now. And then finally, this gal about 2008 talked to me about restructured water. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know about those units, but I don't need it. And then finally she's like, put me on the phone with an expert. And he's like, look, Tim, just drink the effing water. I was like, okay. So I went over and drank it. I had a breakthrough. I was high on water all day long. I said, I got to get one of these units. So now I put her unit behind my purifier. And now it's like you get 80% more absorption from the nutrition or the supplements you take with this water. And you can drink 2-3 quarts of this a day. And you're literally high on water all day long.
I've never heard anybody talk about the restructuring of the water. Was she on Sam Tripoli's show as well? Because I think a lot of people might know you from Sam Tripoli's show. You've been on there, I think, twice. And he also had somebody on talking about different water machine that they had. And was that someone that you hooked him up with?
It might have been. I remember I dropped her name on the show that I did with him last year. I think it was like in April or May last year. Her name's Danusha. It's DANOUCHA.com, Danusha.com. I call her Water Woman. It's Danusha's like Polish for Donna. So there you go. There's a tip of the day or whatever.
All right. So with the restructuring the water, I imagine that when you go and, all your basic purifiers or your Berkey purifier or any other ones you find online, they don't do any of this stuff.
They don't do it. So if you're on city tap water, here's the deal. Your body's made of mostly freaking what? It's water. All right. So if your body's mostly made of water and you're going to consume water in your future, which you probably will, why wouldn't you invest in that? That would be number 1. Why wouldn't you have kick-ass water? Period. It'll change your life. Like literally that company that Danusha works for, one of them, it says change your water, change your life. And it does. Like she had post-traumatic stress disorder after childbirth, and she healed herself with that water and high quality supplements like mine. That's how she did it. Right. So that one's important. Less than 5% of the population is drinking purified, restructured water at this degree. So imagine, for those of you listening, you've got a huge opportunity here to change your life. And it's so simple because once you have this in place, it's over. It's plug and play. You don't have to think about it. Core secret number 2. Now you're drinking lots of water. You want to chew your food until liquefied. We have teeth for a reason. And we also have 2 ducts in our upper mouth and 4 ducts in our lower mouth that secrete these enzymes, amylase and lipase. These break down your starches and your fats. And we should be eating a lot of that stuff. So if you don't chew your food well, you're going to have fermentation and gut rot. And that fermentation is going to destroy those little hair-like structures lining your intestinal tract called intestinal villi. And you're going to rot them like I did. And you're going to end up with leaky gut syndrome, which is I had. So you get these tears in holes in your intestinal lining. And then all of a sudden microbes and undigested food particles slip into your bloodstream and they start wreaking havoc. They cause all kinds of problems: Graves' disease, thyroid disorders, headaches, migraines, cancer, MS, fibromyalgia, whatever. It just depends. Your weakness of a predisposition will show itself as you create this nasty environment. So you want to seal that crap up. And over 90% of us have leaky gut at some level going on right now. So this is something we really need to pay attention to, but people can't see it. It's out of sight, out of mind, so they're not paying attention to this. So by chewing your food well, you can get good digestion and assimilation of nutrients and not destroy that very sacred, critical intestinal villi, those little hair-like structures. They're going to push your food through you and pull the nutrients through the intestinal lining and get the nutrients into the blood, just so it has a chance to get into those to those blood cells. So, and this one's huge. I mean, so just chew your food really well. And less than 4% of the population is doing that one.
Also, there's the speed at which you eat. So, if someone's, taking like an hour to eat their meal versus someone that's just wolfing it down, obviously, if you're wolfing it down, you're probably not chewing well. But I imagine there's some sort of correlation with that too. Because coming from an Italian family, I was always the slowest eater, because all I do pretty much all day is I'll eat. Eat all day. And my grandma would always be like, manja, you need to eat, hurry. And meanwhile, I'm just, way behind everybody else. And yet, they're all 80 pounds more than me. So I'm wondering, if, hey, if there's any correlation there.
It's a huge thing. I mean, it's like, I'm sure your grandma was a lovely woman, but she didn't know what she was talking about as far as hurry up and eat. That's stupid. It doesn't even make any sense. Like from what I learned, and I used to do it. Like I would be, doing a sales job or whatever. And then I had some clients out there and some new ones waiting. And I just go in and like, where's my burger? And and then I clean my mouth off and go out. I mean, it was like, just get it in. I'm busy. I don't have time. But with that mentality and lack of education, I destroyed myself from the inside out. And that's where I manifested all these diseases. It's all inside out game. That's where it is. Your skin looks like crap. Well, guess what? I guarantee your digestive tract and your organ systems look like crap too. Fix the inside and the outside will fix itself. You want pretty skin, you need to have a pretty guts. You want to get your stuff healthy on the inside.
Another thing I noticed is growing up as a competitive swimmer, I obviously spent a lot of time in chlorinated pools, and my skin, like I would break out in like different eczema and used to have to put on like different like Eucerin cream and all sorts of different crap to try to, now with my diet being better now than it was when I was 15, a lot of that sort of subsided. But, if I were to, be in the pool for 4 hours a day, I'm sure that'd be right there back. So I don't know if there's people like who, find themselves in that position. And part of me wonders if it's even good to even be in a pool for a long time.
No way, dude. It's no way.
You're soaking. And I spend a lot of time in a pool now living in Arizona. And so and now I don't know if it's better if you have bromine or better. Obviously, like probably a salt pool would be even better. So it's something that I've thought a lot about. And when I had my former house, I had a really premium hot tub that we didn't need to have a lot of the chemicals that were in there, and it made a big difference. So, but I didn't know if there's things that you can do. I mean, it's probably just better not to just swim in a chlorinated pool at all.
Yeah, you never want to swim. It's like, dude, you're swimming in poison. Okay, you want to swim in bleach? That's what you're doing, right? It makes no sense. So the answer to that is it's a $1,200 to $1,500 solution. You have to purchase this unit. It creates ozone, and it just pumps oxygen and ozone into your pool and cleans it. Then the other thing you would do is you'd get a barrel or a jug of 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide, and you throw scoops of that out there, depending on the size of your pool and how much humidity you have. If you're in Florida, you're going to probably need to do it more than you would in Arizona, and that'll keep the algae down. And that's it, because you take 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide, you throw it out there, and what does it break down to? Oxygen. So it's just pure oxygen cleaning your pool, basically. You don't need chlorine. You don't need any of that other crap. That's how you have a really clean
that
pool.
Chlorine industrial complex has just gotten me all these years. So it's like, damn it, because I spent so much time in a pool, and obviously, I mean, I should have known the signs then, but you're 15 or 16, and you don't know anything, and it's before that really the internet was really taking off. But just look back at it, and it was such an obvious. I would sneeze all the time too from being allergic to it, and it's just that's just such a more basic thing, and that they put our water. I mean, our water just is all the fluoride in it. I mean, that's a whole nother subject. But sorry to get you off of that. I think we're on number 3 now.
Yeah, let's go to number 3. Okay, now you're drinking lots of water. You're chewing your food really good, and number 3 is now avoid liquids with meals. So why would you want to do that? Well, if you spent all that time chewing your food and preloading those enzymes that are going to go down into your belly and then digest your starches and your fats, and then you drink purified restructured water or wine or beer or apple juice or whatever, you're going to dilute the digestive enzymes, and you're going to go from digestion and assimilation. You're going to go right back to fermentation and gut rot. So for the rule of thumb is for beginners, you stop drinking liquids 30 minutes before you eat, and then you wait an hour after you're done eating, and then you start drinking liquids again. If you're stage 4 or something, you're an Olympic level athlete, you want to look your best, feel your best, then you would stop drinking liquids an hour before and then wait 2 hours after you're done eating and then drink a lot of liquids again. So that's the rule of thumb there. And less than 2% of the population is doing that strategy, less than 2%.
I was actually surprised it was that high. I mean, I thought it'd be like 0.2% or something.
Yeah, it's low. It's really low. So again, for those listening, we've got major room for health improvements here. And this thing doesn't cost you anything, right?
That's even if you're drinking restructured pH balanced water, you shouldn't even be drinking anything is what you're
nothing. You're going to dilute those enzymes and you're going to get fermentation and gut rot. All right. So now we go to number 4, which is, we added this one later, which is now you're sitting down to eat. You do some breath exercises prior to eating, about a minute or 2. So why would you do this? Well, would you guys agree that we live in a stressed out world today?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Okay, there's a lot of stress. We have financial stress. We've got, I could get into the details of all of it, but there's relationship stress. There's, COVID stress.
Pandemic stress. Yeah.
There's all these stressors today. So even if you don't think you're stressed, most likely you are, because even driving down the freeway at 65, 75 miles an hour is an odd thing. Human beings, if you grab somebody from 1,000 years ago and they magically popped in the car with you going 75 down the interstate, what would happen to them? They'd probably have a heart attack because it's not a normal thing for a human being to go that fast. Cheetahs can do it. We can't. So we're stressed. And when you're stressed, the blood leaves the organ systems to go out to your extremities, your arms, your legs, your hands, and your feet to fight or flight, to run, get out of there. So just by taking a breath, just some deep breaths like this, take a deep breath in through your nose, pause at the top, and then release out through the mouth. Nice, long, slow flow. Just let it all go. And then pause at the bottom. And then repeat back in through the nose. Suspend the breath again. And then release out through the mouth.
Is it sort of like as deep as you can go when you're doing the inhale on this, or is it just
you're taking deep breaths, not in a forceful way, but in a gentle way. You're going to hold it. And here's the thing: you can hold it for. Usually, what I do is I do a 1 second hold on the top and the bottom for the first breath, and a 2 second hold on the top and bottom for the second, and so on and so forth. Or you can do 5 seconds on the top and bottom every time, or 3. It doesn't matter. Just take some freaking breaths. Don't wait to try to figure it out or get the perfect way to doing it. Just slow the F down. Close your eyes. Be grateful for the food in front of you, the life that you have, and just take some big ass deep breaths and slow down. And that blood will rush from your extremities back into your organ systems. And now you're going to be able to digest your food much better. And less than 1% of the population is doing this. Now, here's the thing.
And you get the added benefit of being able to piss off all the mask wearers next to you, as I'm like sitting there without a mask going. Yeah. So, I mean, I think for our audience, a lot of them might do that just for that reason.
That's awesome. So, yeah. And if you're embarrassed to do breath work, then freaking go to the bathroom and do it sit down on the toilet and do it for a couple of minutes, then come in, relax, and have your meal. Okay. Wash your hands though.
Yeah. People are, they're embarrassed to do that, but they're not embarrassed to walk around in with a mask. I saw a lady today, her shirt said "free your mind" as she's walking around with a mask on outside. I'm like, really? Free your mind? That's it's very cute.
Well, I'll tell you what is what I would rather, people might be embarrassed to do breath work, but what's really embarrassing is down the road when you have, you're getting chemotherapy, or, you lose your ability to control your bowel movements and stuff like that. That happens when people age because they didn't take care of their digestive tract. They're not doing, I was down in, I just remember this one lady, I was in Mazatlan, and this old lady came up to me, and she's retired, she's down there with her husband. She's just talking. And then she just started walking away, and she just started farting uncontrollably loud. And just like, I don't even know if she knew she was farting, This happens. I see this a lot in people that are older that have destroyed the inside of their gut. And a lot of it's not their fault too, because the food system's so hijacked. But anyway, so how do I know this stuff works so well? Because I've been practicing it in my own life for 10 years. It's like falling off a log easy now. It wasn't in the beginning, but I've made it habits. I've made these rituals, not even think about it. Right. And also we ship worldwide now. So what's happened is people will hear me like on a show like this or whatever, and they'll order some products, and we're getting emails and texts and stuff like that saying, "Hey, Tim, my energy's up already. My gas and bloating's better. I'm sleeping better." All these things. And they don't even have the products yet, because they're practicing these core 4 secrets. This is the foundation. People pay me thousands of dollars on a monthly basis to do private one-on-one coaching. And on the first coaching call, we program these habits into their phone. That's the first thing we do. This is the foundation. You have to have a foundation if you want to have a solid house. And that house is your health and your body. You got to take care of it. And then supplements are just part of our toolkit. So anyway, those are the core 4 secrets. And I highly recommend people implement them and just let them do the work for you, and you'll be surprised how effective they are.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that with us. And it's, amazing how you can make these tiny changes. I mean, nothing you said, I mean, I don't want to minimize anything you said, but it was no like earth shattering thing to do in terms of, anything that was really that difficult. But it's just when everybody's speeding up all day and you've got all these different stressors that you're talking about, it's just, doing the little things in life sometimes make a big deal. But, I see on your website at chemicalfreebody.com, you've got the green 85 that you mentioned. Now with that product, is that something where it's going to taste like you're, eating a plant? Like I know like spirulina sort of has, that certain like kind of like taste to it, or what is this something that you mix in with just, your purified restructured water, or can you let us know more about what that, or is it a pill?
Yeah, green 85 is our only powdered product. Everything else we have is in capsules. It was my first product. And the reason we built it was because I literally healed myself from juicing twice a day, never missed. When we left the Hippocrates Health Institute, they had this little take it away program or whatever they called it, take it home. And the lady said, look, if you're not doing 2 green juices a day, you're not on the Hippocrates protocol. Do not expect the same results. That's the deal. We've done this for over 60 years. It's not once a day, it's twice a day. So you flood your body with these concentrated nutrients in the morning and in night. So I did it I was growing sprouts, man. I was juicing sprouts like sunflower sprouts and pea sprouts with cucumber and celery. And that's their formula. And sprouts are like 30 times more nutritious than fresh picked vegetables. But how many people do you think are going to have time to grow sprouts and harvest them and juice them and clean their juicer? Well, I'll tell you, 1 out of 10, and most of them all have cancer because they got their back against the wall, right? Because I had close to 5,000 people come to my house, and only 1 out of 10 would stick with the juicing. They have to have some terrible disease usually to keep doing it. So we built this product for me and for my private coaching clients. I had no idea I was going to have a supplement company. We'd be shipping all over the place like this. And it just makes it easy because there's no blending, there's no juicing, there's no cleanup. And what we
I didn't even notice that the first ingredient was spirulina. So it's funny because I take spirulina every day, not even realizing that the number 1 ingredient was I don't know if it's
well, this one it's wheatgrass. I don't know where you're looking at, but I don't know what. Anyway, so it's wheatgrass, then spirulina. But okay. The thing is that we have to replace what's missing. I mean, that's it. It's not in the freaking soils. So where are you going to get it? Right? You're either going to start buying high quality heirloom seeds that were grown in nutrient dense soils, and you're going to grow your own vegetables. You're going to grow your own sprouts, and you're going to harvest them and eat them daily. And if you're not going to do that, you have to find a solution. So I've learned to meet people where they're at. That's why we created Green 85 juice formula, because you just take a scoop and shake it up with water, drink it in the morning, and do it again 30 minutes before dinner. And it starts changing your life. The food cravings drop. Green 85 literally pays for itself because your grocery bill is going to drop. If you take it once a day, it'll drop $50 a month. If you take it twice a day, your grocery bill will drop $100 a month. When your cells finally get nutrition, they'll send signals that you're just not that hungry. And everybody's like, always tell me the same thing. I'm just not that hungry anymore. This is the weirdest thing. It's like, I just don't feel like eating anymore. I'm taking half of my food to go now. I used to eat the whole thing at Olive Garden, or something like that. This is very typical. We're not supposed to be eating all the freaking time. We're supposed to get high quality nutrition. Our cells get what they need, and then they'll tell us, you're good. You don't need any more. And then you start feeling lighter. Your gut feels better. Your energy comes back. Your mental clarity comes back. And then people start losing weight. That's what ends up happening because they're not overeating anymore.
Yeah, because all the foods we have now, I mean, they have different like MSG in it, monosodium glutamate, they have different chemicals in there to trick your body into feeling like it needs to have more food. And then, it ends up, later on after you eat it, makes you feel like crap because you didn't get any nutrients from there. You just filled yourself up with empty calories. But, what type of calorie reduction, probably could somebody expect if they are doing, just part of the things that you're, kind of telling them to do? Because I imagine at a certain point, they're probably not going to have, might not be doing 3,000 calories a day anymore. They might be at like 1,500. They might be at 2,000.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the calorie count is. I got away from all that stuff years ago, and but what I will tell you is that you will eat less, and you're going to start feeling better. And out of the gate, everybody gets way more energy, and this is a natural energy. This isn't something like, ooh, you get all buzzy and then you crash and you have to do it again. This is a nice energy hit, and it just lasts all day, and you feel good. Like I said, I'm 47. I literally feel like I'm 18. I never miss. I do 2 green juices a day, no matter what. Either I make it or I use the green 85. And I've actually, I did a test. We were going to put this whole marketing thing together, but I lived on green 85, nothing else last year. And I made it 40 days. That's it. That's all I had. I was taking it 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. And I felt freaking fantastic. I felt amazing. So I was actually the 3rd attempt. The first attempt, I only made it 11 days. The second attempt, I made it 26. And I finally made it 40.
Now, is there calories inside of there, obviously, or
yeah, there's not that much per scoop. You're getting about, I think it was 25. It's 25 calories per scoop, right?
And so you also were mentioning that you shouldn't be taking drinking and then eating right afterwards, or drinking, or eating and then drinking right afterwards for an hour. Is this something where you wake up first thing in the morning, take this down, and then maybe have some some vegetables or something like that?
Yeah. So, well, in our program, we unless you're diabetic or anorexic or bulimic or something like that, then we get people to replace the heavy meals with liquid nourishment. So we teach to not eat heavy meals until after 11 a.m. So we go to a 2 heavy meal, eat between 11 and 2, your heavy meal, and then again between 4 and 7, and flood the body with the nutrition in the morning. And if they need extra help, we have them mix the greens. You can mix it with water. We also recommend sprouted nut milks, and we teach people how to make those and where to buy the sprouted nut butters to make the milks. Like literally, when you buy milk at the stores, like an almond milk or something like that, by law they have to pasteurize it, which heats it at high temperatures and denatures it. So I don't want that. So you get almond milk. I mean, if you have to do that to start. But
I just switched over to all that stuff. So you're crushing all my dreams.
Well, no, dude. What you do is you go to this company called Blue Mountain Organics, okay, and you order their sprouted nut butters, and then you just take a scoop of it, and they come in 10 pounds and 40 pounds. So once you get it, and you're like, wow, this stuff's amazing. Because a sprouted nut butter, I mean, they could go listen to my, I think it was episode 48 I did on my Health Hero Show podcast on sprouting and how you can increase your nutrition up to 800%. Yeah, 800 freaking percent. It's ridiculous. They take this nut, they soak it, and then it releases the natural inhibitors, insecticides or protectants. It becomes on average 8 times more digestible, and the nutrition goes up 100 to 800%. So, but the cost goes up because it's more time consuming for the company. They got to soak the nuts and rinse them and then dehydrate them at a low temperature and then grind them slowly. So that takes more, time and energy and effort. So you're going to pay more for that, but you're getting like 100 to 800% more nutrition out of it. It's a bargain. But if you buy it in 10 pounds or 40 pounds, like we do now, because we use it for everything, it's super cheap. You can get it. It's even cheaper than buying just the roasted garbage stuff that's grown in pesticides, right? So anyway, what you do is you just take a tablespoon or 2 with about 16 ounces of water, and you blend it for 5 seconds in your blender, high-speed blender, and you've got milk. And that's it. And it's 2 ingredients: purified restructured water, hopefully, and the second one would be this sprouted nut butter. And now you've got this delicious sprouted nut milk. We have them put a scoop of green 85 in there, shake it up and drink it. That will help people bridge that gaps to get off the breakfast. And it's also one of our tactics that we help people build muscle. People want to build muscle. That's what we do. We have them pull their meat intake down just a little bit and put the sprouted nut milks with the green 85 twice a day. And it's those high quality fatty acids from the sprouted nut milks mixed with weight resistance exercise and good sleep. That's how you build muscle. And I've helped so many people, and athletes and CrossFit, competitors and all kinds of people put muscle on where they've been stuck. And we just take the meat intake down a little bit. We put the sprouted nut butters in with the green 85, and a lot of them, like David Arce, we'll give him a shout out. Brownsville CrossFit Gym helped him get under 10% body fat and start putting on some extra muscle. And it wasn't for a lack of trying. I mean, the guy worked out like 4 or 5 hours a day. He did everything he could, but we just did a few tweaks on his diet, and then he got under the body fat percentage. And then he said, hey, I want to start putting some muscle on. I said, well, you're going to have to take your meat down a little bit. No, I don't want to do it. Are you going to do it? I haven't lied to you yet, have I? No. And then sprouted nut butter milk with the green 85, and he started putting on a pound of muscle a week.
I just want to let people at home know that what you eat in your nutrition is, I mean, I don't know the percentage wise, I was going to say like 10 times more important than how much you work out. I mean, I was doing Ironman triathlons. There was like every single Saturday for years, I was biking 100 miles. And there was days where I would bike 100 miles, burn thousands of calories, and still end up gaining weight on the day because I'd, finish at 10 in the morning and then, so hungry, I'd, eat all day and end up, burning a couple thousand calories, but end up eating even more and still gaining weight. And I would get to the point where if I just watched what I ate and didn't eat as much, was eating healthier, that counted a lot more than just doing crazy, Ironman workouts in the desert when it's 100 degrees. And so I will say firsthand that I know that what you eat is definitely more important when it comes to weight loss, probably more important when it comes to almost anything, whether you're trying to gain muscle or, and so much of this is just what you know. And if you don't know what you don't know, then, and you're just going to go, like my ex-wife would always say things, oh, well, my doctor didn't say to do this. I'm like, well, your doctor's trained in one like half an hour class on nutrition and doesn't know any of this stuff. And most doctors end up dying before even average life expectancy. I don't know if most, but, a lot of doctors are known for, not even living to full life expectancy. And so, what does that tell you? And then didn't Benjamin Franklin have a quote? It was something along the, I mean, you probably know this, but it was something along the lines of, if you let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food, or something to that extent.
Yeah. That was Hippocrates. That's
okay.
That institute that I went to is based on that guy. Let thy food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food. When doctors graduate medical school, they take the Hippocratic oath. That's based on that dude. I will do no harm. But they missed the whole point when he said, let thy food be thy medicine be thy food. He healed people naturally long time ago.
Well, they didn't miss it. They just got indoctrinated with the whole Rockefeller medicine, which is a whole nother rabbit hole that, for another day. But, how many, so you said you've had over 5,000 people who've gone through your house when you're kind of doing things informally, both informally and formally.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just in person. Like I had a friend come over and he's like, oh, what's all this stuff? And I said, there's sprouts. And he's like, yeah, I ain't doing that. And then 60 days later, I lost all the weight and he came back over and he's like, now what was that stuff? So, and I gave him the whole spiel about the detox and stuff when I was doing. And then he's like, will you grow the sprouts for me? I'm like, no, I want, I'm busy. And then he talked me into it. The next day he brings his buddy Eric over. He tell Eric that stuff. And I did. And I started growing for Eric. And before too long, my garage got retrofitted into a growing operation. I had to go tell my neighbors, because back then Oregon wasn't legal to grow marijuana and everybody thought I was growing grass in my garage, but I was growing wheatgrass. So I was nicknamed the grass man, the sprout guy. It was hilarious. It was, all my neighbors were teasing me, but, and
I'm just waiting for like the cops to come in and like rage or not.
And I told the story about Charles and how he was healing of cancer. So people started sending me all these people with cancer, and like they'd show up at my doorstep. I was getting ready to go on a date with my wife at 7 p.m. Like, hey, and they're all messed up. Can you help me? And I'm like, yes, come on in. I just like, sorry, honey, I got to help these people. And then I do a presentation, and this just kept going on. Finally, I said, look, we have to set up some classes so we can have a private life. Cause I was just, anytime people were, they were coming over almost every night. So I started doing classes on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights. And then I would go lecture on Saturdays and Sundays at hospitals and churches and grocery stores. And I wasn't getting paid to do it. I did this for in fact, the first 3 years, 2.5, 3 years, I bought people all the food and the stuff to make the juice. I wanted to help people. I was making money doing financial advising. I was like, my health was, I was a train wreck and I completely healed myself. And I want to show people how they can do it too. So it was a lot of fun. One thing I did want to share with you guys though, is that it was a big wake up call, is that I remember looking online. I can't remember where I heard it, but I looked this up. Go to your browser and type in umbilical cord and the word chemical. Umbilical cord and chemical, because this is reason why I started my company. And
actually, my mom isn't there like there's like a some sort of documentary where it showed that like in a newborn baby that there's already like a huge.
Oh yeah, dude, it's terrible. It's terrible. So you'll see the studies going back to 2005, like I did, where they test for like, let's say 400 chemicals. They find 250 of what they're looking for. That's about 71% of what they were looking for. And 180 of these cause cancer in humans. 212 cause developmental and brain disorders, and so on and so forth. So these studies kept coming out 2005, 2007, 2010, 2000.
And that's even before all these mRNA Frankenstein drugs.
Oh, yeah.
Viruses are even out.
Yeah. So I sat back in my chair and I'm like, oh my God, we're all polluted. We're all polluted. Imagine if the young babies and young mothers, supposedly the healthiest of all of us, right? Should be the healthiest. If they're already polluted with all this toxic stuff, the older you are, the more time your body and your tissue and your fat and your blood has to bioaccumulate this stuff. Right now we're breathing in automobile exhaust and rubber compounds off of tires and nano-sized aluminum particles from the chemtrails, and your paint is off-gassing in your office or your home. Your floor is off-gassing. If you're wearing a shirt that's not natural fiber clothing, if you're wearing polyesters, you're off-gassing those same estrogen-mimicking chemicals that were in those little fishies that were turning them into hermaphrodites, right? So your Under Armours, your Nike Dry Fits, these types of things that I was wearing in baseball that I thought were awesome, even after 1,000 washes, they still off-gas 97% of these estrogen-mimicking chemicals, right? So we have to get back to nature. So we have to clean up the body. So I'm like, that's where we developed chemical-free bodies. So we want to give people awareness of these no-see-ums. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not creating damage. And they only looked for 400 chemicals in these tests. There's over 100,000 chemicals out there. There's 2,000 new chemicals being made every year, and only 1/4% are tested. The rest are just put into the market, and they're in our water, they're in our food, they're in our healthcare, they're in our shampoo. If your toothpaste is harmful if swallowed, you might want to rethink putting that in your mouth, right? If your shampoo, go home tonight, look at your shampoo. If it says sodium lauryl sulfate, you're putting a known carcinogen, a cancer causer, right into your scalp, into your skin. That's going right into your bloodstream, no liver to filter it. And when I got home, guess what? I had harmful if swallowed toothpaste. I had sodium lauryl sulfate and all my stuff, Glade air fresheners. It's in everything. It's everything.
I went way down the rabbit hole like a long time ago when it came to all the, fluoride in the water and how all that stuff works. And it's just, crazy when you actually, and then the fluoride in the toothpaste and how, I forgot what they call it, like the LD50, which is some sort of amount that, it will kill people. And it was like in a child, if they were to eat, I forgot the exact amount, but like a 2 or 3 year old, if they were to have like half a tube of toothpaste, I think like the LD50 is like, there's a good chance that they could die from having the toothpaste. And like, what more proof do you need right there? And that's not even getting into all the other stats I forgot were in Europe where they don't do it. And there's teeth that are just as healthy. And it had to do with like the aluminum company of America, Alcoa, and how they had to pay all these millions of dollars to get rid of fluoride. And now they ended up, and I think it was the same guy at the University of Rochester, which I've got a really weird memory that I can memorize some of this shit, but that was the same scientist that said that asbestos was okay, was the same guy that said fluoride was okay. And then I forgot if it was Lenin or Stalin, I forgot who came first. But I believe it was, well, I think Lenin came first, but I think it was Stalin that put in the fluoride in the drinking water, and then Hitler then had it in his concentration camps, had fluoridated water meant to dumb you down, to tax your pineal gland, which is where people get. And so it's basically a full spectrum dominance on your entire body, where it's not just one thing. They're hitting us from every single, it's a full 360 spectrum dominance, absolute onslaught that we're getting. And then even if you're doing all this stuff and you're getting bombarded with 5G or different Wi-Fi rates, different television, now I got rid of my cable, so I don't have that anymore, but even the frequencies are basically designed to jack you up and to get off of the I forgot what they call it, like the resonance that the earth is supposed to be at, but they do everything they can.
Well, it's 8 hertz. Yeah, 8 hertz is that. What's interesting though is like we're wondering why my wife, she works with kids with mental disabilities. They all have damages from all these toxins, right, that come in as a kid. All these, we're wondering, why everybody's getting born with, autism or anything like that. Like, it's pure nerve toxicity, basically, right? If I'm not mistaken, it's pretty appalling. Like I'm all for organic. Like, I try to grow as much as I can at my home, but I live in a colder place, where we actually have winters, most of the time, but I still, have a massive garden, and I like to eat the, fruits, that I have a whole bunch of fruit trees as well. What I really, I have a question actually about your gut, because you were talking about the cleanse. I've done a cleanse where there's time-released oxygen cleanses. Is that any good, or is that a total waste of my time? Or like,
no, those are okay. In fact, back when I just had Green 85, our juice formulator product, I used to put people on a product called Colasan, and it's a magnesium product that just creates a tremendous amount of oxygen, and it just cleans the entire thing out. The problem is you be pissing out your ass for 5 days. And
Yeah.
and people are like, whoa, dude, this stuff really works. And I'm like, yeah, it does.
Yeah,
You know,
I've done that stuff before too. I think
yeah,
when
and
Alex
it works.
was selling,
And
something.
so I was talking to my formulator, Dr. Treadway, back when we only had the one product. And I said, yeah, I created this manual. It's called this gut detox guide. He went through it and he's like, wow. He's like, this is exactly almost step by step what I was doing in my clinic years ago when I had a clinic for 10 years, seeing patients on a daily basis. This, what you created, Tim, was my manual. And he's like, so we're like brothers from another mother. We've connected so well. I look up to him. I'm learned from him. He's a master formulator that learned from these two ancient people over in India, where it was passed on from, generation to generation for thousands of years of masters of herbology and, reading people and all that kind of stuff. And anyway, he said, and I said, he goes, well, what are you doing for the detox part for the gut? And I said, well, I'm using Colasan. It's the magnesium. He's like, well, that's a little rough, don't you think? And I was like, well, what else is there? I mean, I don't know. I'm new at this stuff. And he's like, well, there's a product, a formula that we have in India that's over 1,000 years old. I've been taking it for 35 years. It would be a wonderful replacement for that. It's much more gentle, because what you're doing is you're cleaning out everything, the good and the bad bacteria. This other herbal formula will clean out the bad and all the funk and gunk and junk, but it won't disturb the good stuff. And I said, well, how do we do it different? He said, well, with this stuff, you'll take 3 capsules in the morning and at night for 15 days, do the initial detox. And then it's where people can expect to lose that 6 to 12 pounds of all that impacted fecal material. Because it doesn't matter. I could do a whole, I could do a 10-hour seminar on the gut and show you how gross everything is inside. And still, a lot of people are still never going to do a colonic. They're just not ready to do it. I know, because I've worked with thousands of people. So this product works good because not only does it clean the colon, but it cleans the small intestine as well and gets those mucoid plaques out of there over time. So you do the first initial 3 and 3 for 15 days. Then after that, you just take 3 a day for maintenance, and you just keep taking it every day, because nobody eats perfect, right? We're going to have those chicken tenders, right, Tim? You're going to have a piece of pizza. Nobody eats perfect. We're always breathing in stuff. And people don't realize when you breathe things in, the toxins in the air, they stick to the mucous membrane in the back of your throat and you swallow them. So all day long, you're swallowing toxins, even though you can't see them, right? Now, your kitchen might be very clean, but I guarantee you, if I put my finger across the top of your refrigerator, there's probably some dust up there. It's out of sight, out of mind. And because you can't see this stuff, again, it doesn't mean that it's not affecting your health. It is. It's there. We've seen it in the blood samples. So we just have to have this awareness. So to answer your question, brother, what I would say is like, we have a better solution on that gut detox product. It's much more gentle, and we believe in a gentle daily detox. And that way you're not, having diarrhea and all that stuff.
So would this be part of your, I see you got a super detox bundle that is, a gut one, then a more general toxic cleanse. Now, can you maybe kind of get into that? Now, does that do anything like for your liver? Because, a lot of us probably drank a lot back in the day and maybe now need to.
The gut detox product will slowly, clean your digestive tract out. And over time, it will clean up your organ systems as well. Right. There's other things that we teach over here. We do liver gallbladder flushes, and we help people get the stones out. My girlfriend just flushed a couple hundred stones out of her.
Yeah, I actually did that one. Like
you do the Andrew Morowitz Amazing Liver Cleanse. That's the one we teach.
Yeah, the one that I've done is Dr. Group, his name is, that does this one. I don't know if you're familiar with Global Healing Center.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with him. I recommend his vitamin D. I've been recommending his vitamin D supplement for a long time. And I still have people supplement with his because his is in the lichen form. I really like it. We just added 1,000 international units of vitamin D3, naturally occurring vitamin D3 to our Green 85 just about 6 months ago, simply because of all the COVID stuff going on. Because vitamin D3 is not actually a vitamin, it's a hormone. And when viruses, it basically just erodes and eats away. It's like a little machine gun, just tears away the cell wall of a virus. So vitamin A, viruses don't like vitamin A, they don't like vitamin D, and they don't like zinc. And we have all 3 of those in Green 85. So we have like a triangle of a protection there for people that are, worried about any virus, colds, flus, any of that kind of stuff. It's a major immune booster.
Yeah. Now, what about, I see you've got some things on here for energy. I mean, do you want to kind of get into that? I'm sure there's lots of people who, drink lots of coffee and caffeine. And, personally, I've done a pretty good job the past, I'd say 6 months, kind of weaning myself off of caffeine. I mean, obviously every now and then you slip up, but can you kind of get into maybe, what some people do naturally or things that aren't as bad when it comes to?
The first thing is, like, if somebody's drinking coffee, I would recommend that you just get a really high quality coffee to start, right? It's like if you're eating, I don't know, what would be a good example? Well, we'll just take the coffee. So you'd want to go get something that's shade grown, low acid. Okay. So something like that. So start with that. But besides that, pretty much everything that we have, like if you get your digestive tract clean with the gut detox product and drinking lots of water, you're going to have more energy, right? You are an electric being and water is conductive. So if you're drinking lots of water, you're getting yourselves hydrated, you're going to have more energy right there. Number two, you get your digestive tract clean, you're getting rid of a bunch of garbage that you're packing around, and now you're going to be able to absorb more nutrients. And so you're going to have more energy. Then you flood your body with like these greens. You replace the 85% of nutrients that are missing, you're going to have a lot more energy. We have a lot of people, I've had clients who are like, Tim, don't even think about getting me off of my coffee. And I was like, hey, lady, I didn't even tell you I was going to do that, And, and 5 months later, she's like, you know what? I realized that that stuff just wasn't working for me. It was a habit. It wasn't, and she's off of coffee, she's off of her depression medication and that kind of stuff. We hear these stories like all the time, right? So I don't tell people to get off of stuff unless they're like stage 4. We just say, let's do the add and release method. Let's start adding good things to your life and let the other things just fall off. If coffee is not part of your life, it'll fall off. If it still needs to be there, it'll be there. Let's not worry about that, because if you start thinking about quitting everything, we tend to hold on to it even harder. And so it's just like, let's not worry about getting off of that stuff. Let's start adding new habits and new, like, the core 4 secrets: drinking the water, chewing your food, avoiding liquids with meals, doing the breath work, taking the gut detox, taking the greens, going for walks, cracking your window at night so you can get some good quality air when you're sleeping, just doing basic things.
Yeah, no, it is incredible how basic a lot of these things are, but the huge impacts that they can. Now I'm about to head out to California it's potentially tomorrow, it looks like. And so I haven't worn a mask in 7 months. So I'm bringing with me a whole bunch of different, essentially like kind of like meal replacement type shakes. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe the next week, if I can't get into any place without a mask, then, I'd rather just, drink the meals than go into, some sort of crap food type place. But it's, it's a decision that I'm making, and, just from a, not wearing a mask standpoint. But I think that, there probably is a lot of benefit. Now, do you see benefit in people, drinking a lot of their calories as opposed to, chewing it through food? So, I mean, I guess the question is, it probably depends what it's made out of, and obviously that you're not drinking a bunch of crap with whatever meal replacement type deal you're on, I imagine.
Okay, so to answer that, I would say that, there is some benefit for that short term. Like if you just want to do like a juice cleanse or a juice fast or whatever you want to call it, you want to do some liquid nourishment for a while, that's fine. Fasting is one of the most powerful tools we have for the body. But, long term, there's also some benefits with chewing that I forgot to mention when I said chew your food really well. Dr. Gabriel Cousens, who's like 80 years old and can do 30 pull-ups, somebody you should listen to. He said that when you chew your food really well, you're actually stimulating your meridian points through your teeth, and those can uptake your serotonin by up to 500%. Okay, so for those of you that are interested in serotonin, that's the happy juice that we make ourselves in our body. That's a very large statement that I just gave, because how many people are dealing with depression today? It's like one of the number one selling pharmaceutical drugs is depression medication.
The SSRIs, the serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
Yeah. So simply by chewing your food well, you can get happier. You can create more serotonin, right? This is from a medical doctor who's in his 80s and again is very physically active. He actually did he had a clinic called the Tree of Life Clinic in Arizona, I believe. He met with some of the local like shamans there, the Native American Indians, and was talking to him, and I'm getting the story roughly right. And he said the rain dance or whatever, they got talking about it. And he said, well, let's do the rain dance or whatever. And he's like, the elders were like, nobody's done that in like 40 years. Cause you have to dance 2 days nonstop, no sleep. And he was trying to get these guys to go vegan, these Native Americans. And they're like, you're crazy, white buffalo, man. And he's like, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll do the rain dance. Now think about this. Guy's in his late 70s, early 80s, and he's going to dance for 2 days with no sleep. They didn't believe it. He did it. He did it. He did the rain dance. He learned it and he did it nonstop for 2 days. Then afterwards, all the elders were looking at each other going like, well, maybe we should eat plants, because people, they see what you do, right? So that's a guy who we should probably be listening to. All right. So, but anyway, that's some pretty powerful stuff right there. Just chewing your freaking food, and we forget.
Now, what type of fasting, like I've never fasted before. So what would you recommend that somebody starts off with? I mean, more of like a keto type thing where you only eat during certain parts of the day and maybe intermittent fasting is what I meant to say. Or would you kind of go with like, hey, why don't you start for 1 day and just have water and then try to, up it, the next time you do it. But what would you say for like a beginner that they, are trying to maybe getting into fasting, and obviously not medical advice, but, what would sort of like a good place to kind of start?
I would recommend, again, just replacing breakfast with liquid nourishment. All right. So just not having bacon, eggs, and hash browns, and having a green juice with some of these nut milks or something like that. That would be number one. Now, once you've done that for a while and you make that a habit, then maybe on 1 day a week, you try doing liquid nourishment for breakfast time and for lunchtime. No heavy meal during lunch. You replace it with another green juice or something like that. Right. And then if that worked, then maybe the next time you do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all juices. And
now, if you are going to have a heavy meal, is it better to have the heavy meal between like 11 to 2 and then have, juice, in the morning and at night and have your heavy meal during the day, or what is
Yeah, that would be best. And the reason why is because you have, it's like the Ayurvedics will say from India is like you have more fire in your gut somewhere between 11 and 2:30 in the afternoon. Your hydrochloric acid content's higher, so you have more ability to break down those proteins and stuff better. And there's a lot of people out there that have low hydrochloric acid. We've just, what's happening is because of the loads of chemical pollution that are bombarding our bodies today, all these noceums, the lack of nutrition and the lack of hydration, we are literally and stress. And don't forget this 5Gs and all the stress. We are literally de-evolving as a species. We're not in evolution anymore. We're de-evolution. We're getting sicker and weaker. Kids are being born obese. Kids are being born with diabetes. Kids are born with hundreds of chemicals in their blood. Right? How could we possibly be getting healthier? We're not. And for those of you out there listening that you've heard somebody say we're living longer, that's not true. We're not living longer than we were before through all these medical advances. I knew this stuff because when I was in the insurance, I was a financial advisor. I was also a licensed insurance salesman. And they were like, yeah, people are living longer. They're not. It's based off of what's happening is that it's the prenatal care is throwing off the numbers. So a young mother or a baby that would have died, right, is now living, right? So if you go back 100 years and somebody would have died at childbirth, and then you have somebody else that made it to 100 years old, the average age is 50. But now you got that person that would have died at childbirth, or the young mother that would have died, and now they're going to live. They didn't die. So it's going to bring up the numbers and skew the numbers. But it's not about that. It's about the quality of life, right? So we can argue about who lives longer or not, but I don't really care. It's like, what's your quality of life?
So you say your, average millennial net worth, and you throw Mark Zuckerberg in there, then obviously, that's going to skew all the stats to be like, oh, millennials are doing great because, you've got one guy that's worth $57 billion to then skew all the stats. But yeah, I mean, it's just amazing how much stats can be used to, change the narrative. And obviously when people are getting different scientific studies done, or any sort of studies done, it's who is funding. A lot of times it might be even the WHO, World Health Organization, but who is funding the study and what results do they want? And then if you're not getting the results that they want, then they hire somebody else next time to get the results, and you're out of like multi-million-dollar contracts. So everything is so perverse in terms of where people are getting information from. And even like the concept of the breakfast, I mean, I was always propagandized, and like most people, to think that it was a great thing and you need to do it. And I was eating lots of cereal, and I think the past few years I've really have gotten away from cereal for the most part. I mean, every now and then I slip up, but I can tell, having gotten off milk for the most part too, that my nose isn't really stuffed up anymore. I used to have always like mucus like all the time and hacking up stuff, and I've had like literally nothing the past year and a half when it comes to that. And so it I would say, and I used to be on all sorts of stuff like Zyrtec and allergy shots and all sorts of shit. And all that stuff is gone now. And I feel way better. And I'm not even doing, probably half the stuff that I should be doing, but it's still a lot more than what other people are doing, which is pretty much nothing. And so it's just amazing that, people are willing to go, they're willing to put a, experimental drug, so-called vaccine in them for coronavirus, but they're not willing to, get more vitamin D. They're not willing to chew their food. They're not willing to take deep breaths. They're not willing to do a lot of the simple things that you've, told us today. And what do you think the best, place for someone? I mean, obviously, start with the 4 core things, but, they go to chemicalfreebody.com. They can get, it looks like you do consultations on there, or you've got different coaching packages as well. But, if someone just wanted to start off and maybe get one thing, would you sort of recommend the Green 85, or maybe they can get one of these different bundles to, where, if someone's, a complete mess and they're coming to you, okay, where should they start? Or let's say they're not a mess, because a lot of times the people that are seeking help are people that are already good and want to get better. Like I went and got a triathlon coach who I had already qualified for the U.S. national championship. Like I was already better than 99% of people. But if you want to be elite and take things better, then I hired a coach, even though I knew a lot of the information. And it's the same thing with just about anything. And so even if somebody is, a relative high performer, and they're hearing this and they're realizing, hey, there's a lot of things I could be doing that I'm not doing. Where do you think, what are some good things or packages that they should look at in your site? And we didn't pre-plan any of this. We didn't try to plan, no pun intended, any of these stories. It was, this is our first time ever talking, outside of the Unwanted, and outside of a couple emails to try to, get you hooked up with one of my friends in regards to Brandy Vaughn's passing. But I've liked a lot of what you had to say, and obviously your name Tim, so it probably means you're a good guy, and also financial advisor into health. So a lot of things in common there. But where should somebody start if they're just sort of hearing all this stuff? They know they should have been doing some of this stuff. Where what products would you recommend that you've got going?
Well, the first thing I'd recommend is really working on those core 4 secrets. Those are very inexpensive, except for the first one, to get your water system set up, but the other ones are free. If they're going to our website at chemicalfreebody.com, just click on the products tab. We do have a lot of products. There's a drop-down menu that says savings bundles. That's the one you were at. That's where you can get a discount up front. You can pick a package. There's a jumpstart bundle. You could start there. That's a really nice one, entry level. Or you can do the total energy and detox bundle. That's what I personally do on a monthly basis, and start there, or anywhere in between, whatever resonates with you. And then when you go to checkout, I guess what I could do is I could create a code for these guys, and they could get an additional 5% off. What do you want the code to be? Just like Liberty?
Yeah, Liberty. That works.
Okay, so if you guys put in, I'll create that Liberty. You'll get an additional 5% discount code. So you'll get the discount on the savings bundles, and then you get a double discount. You get the extra 5% on that. And all of our stuff has a double your money back guarantee. I'm pretty, what's the word here? I'm just very confident that it's going to work for you. We have hardly any returns. I mean, we do have a few, but we have thousands of clients now, and nobody returns our stuff because it works. And if it doesn't work, let us know. We'll return it, and then we'll find a replacement for you, whether it's one of our supplements or products or another company's. I know where to go look. Right. So maybe you have an allergic reaction to one of the ingredients in our greens, because we have 23 of them in there. I'll help you go find a high quality supplement where it doesn't have that crap in there. So all of our stuff is air dried or sun dried under 110 degrees over a 1 to 2 day period to keep the enzymes active. Hardly anybody's doing that. And one of the most important things, we talked about the chemicals and stuff, but I'll kind of pull this up and see if this thing zooms in. But on my product, you'll see it says no magnesium stearate, no silicon dioxide, if this thing's going to focus, no dicalcium phosphate, right? It's probably not going to work. These are toxic binders, fillers, and flow agents that are in most supplements. And we're bringing awareness to that. So I put them in big red letters on all of our supplements because we want people to read their supplements. Go look at your supplements. If you have silicon dioxide in your formula as another ingredient, it's still an ingredient. You're still eating it. And guess what? It's a level 3 toxin on the EPA's toxin list. Yet it's in most supplements. So for me, I created these products for myself and for my small coaching community. And now we're shipped. Like I said, we blew up last year. We're shipping worldwide. And those are the things I'd recommend. If you want to get a free consult, you can book a free consult under the coaching tab. I also have a really awesome community we started. It's Tim James Private Coaching, and it's super low entry. I go live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I just do live Q&A. We have a topic. You can come on, ask me your questions. You know, we cover a lot of different stuff. Anything. I'll answer any question. If I don't have the answer, we go look it up. We figure it out. Every second Wednesday of the month, our formulator, Dr. Scott Treadway, comes on. It's called Talk with the Doc. You can ask him questions and me. There's a private exclusive blog content. We've got Tim's recommended products in the back office. All the calls are recorded and archived. All the blogs are archived. There's just a lot of stuff back there for people.
And with the Green 85, is that something where you're looking at, you know, one of those would last you about 2 weeks, or one would last you a month? If you're doing it twice a day, what's kind of like a typical
If you're doing it once a day, it's a 30-day supply. If you're doing it twice a day, it's then you'd be a 15-day supply.
Okay. Yeah.
And it also comes in 3 packs and 6 packs for discounts. And there's people can get on auto ship too, or, you know, subscribe and save type deal.
Yeah, no, it's all, you know, super important, because obviously, you know, today everyone's wanting to go, not our listeners, but, you know, they're going to the doctor and they're going to get on certain pharmaceuticals. And I've done all these different triathlons and didn't take a single pharmaceutical, didn't take a single pain pill, a single ibuprofen, a single anything, which, you know, I don't know how many people in the world have done an Ironman without taking a single ibuprofen or anything.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing what you can do when it comes to, and I know, probably like 10% of what maybe you know on this stuff, or maybe even 5% of what you know on this stuff. But it's just amazing where, you know, if you want to, you know, change yourself, you know, knowledge is power. And there's a lot of things that you can do that have been around for thousands of years that have been taken out of the education system. So I do recommend that people can go to chemicalfreebody.com, and I'm going to get one of these bundles, and I'll let people know, you know, what I thought of it, because you know, you're not paying me to say this or anything. We didn't, you know, schedule any of this stuff beforehand, so it's all live.
Yeah,
but
so I'll definitely pick something up too, Tim. You know, I'm all for.
Looks like John cut out because he's you know, somewhere up there and
trying to find the best possible ways of, you know, and really get.
Yeah, and I thanks for that, man. I appreciate it. I want to share this with you too. This is we're starting a whole new line of products. These are our liquid tinctures. This people have heard about turmeric. I just brought this up because you brought up pain, and you know, a lot of people are into turmeric right now, right? Taking turmeric, it's anti-inflammatory, helps with arthritis, osteoporosis, osteopenia, MS, fibromyalgia, post-surgery, post-workout, anything to do with inflammation, right? So what we did was Dr. Treadway found a paper on this stuff, and we found these scientists, these doctors found a way to make it 185 times more absorbable and anti-inflammatory. We copied it, bought this machine, and we took the 95% curcuminoids and we made them really tiny, basically like almost like nano, really small. So you squirt this in your mouth, and it just in 15 seconds, it disappears through your mucous membrane. And you end up with like something that's super anti-inflammatory, literally on the cellular level. You know, people are there's a lot of doctors out there talking about cellular inflammation, the root cause of all disease. This is like throwing a bucket of water on a campfire. It literally reduces the inflammation on the cell so that the hormones like T3, T4 from the thyroid, or from like vitamin D, which again is not a vitamin, it's a hormone, can then attach to the cell and communicate properly. And then the cells within 5 minutes will take this curcuminoids throughout the entire body with your knee pain, your back pain, your joint pain, your headaches. And we've seen remarkable stuff with this. And you're going to get way more nutrient absorption too, because if the cell has all that inflammation gone around it, now the greens and the nutrition can get into the cell much better. So this is a breakthrough product. It's a breakthrough technology. We call it Turmeric 100 because I know it's at least 100 times more absorbable and anti-inflammatory. We're looking more around the 185 times mark. And there is no black pepper needed because it's not going through the digestive tract. No black pepper. It goes directly into the bloodstream. It's a really powerful product. We've just came out with it a few weeks ago. I almost forgot to mention it, but it's just, I love it. And I can like go trail run and instead of hardcore, and then instead of taking 3 to 4 days to recover, I can go run again in a day or two, no problem.
That's great. And I guess you sort of kind of segued into this, but can you maybe get into a little bit more about vitamin D and vitamin D3 and what the differences are between, you know, vitamin D and vitamin D3? And I imagine a lot of these supplements people get are probably just some sort of synthetic crap that is fillers and not great for you anyways. I mean, I live in Arizona, so I'm getting, you know, lots of sun all the time, but a lot of people who do live in Arizona, they're inside all the time. Well, not only because it's the 2-time defending coronavirus capital of the world again, but also because when it's so hot out, and it's sort of counterintuitive, but in places that are really, really, really sunny, people actually stay indoors because it's too hot to go outside. So it's, a lot of times you see people who are vitamin D deficient, even in Arizona. But can you kind of get into, maybe the importance of what vitamin D does and how, getting it naturally or getting it through, sources that you had talked about, and how it's really a hormone, not a vitamin? Because I find that, personally fascinating, but it's not something I really know a ton about.
Yeah, so it's just really simple. Just to make, I don't like making things complicated for people because you lose folks, and I'm not, I'm like I nerd out on some things, but you can go down rabbit holes, dude, so far on every little thing, and you try to remember it all. I've forgotten.
I'm an expert. Thank you for dumbing it down, because I'm an expert rabbit hole goer, and so is John.
Yeah,
so
and I used to do that. So as soon as here's the deal: you just want the ingredients to be naturally occurring. Okay, that's it. And the two that I like the most are cholecalciferol, and that's the vitamin D that we have in here, the D3 that we have in here, and then also from lichen form. That's like over at Global Healing Center. Dr. Edward Group has that vitamin D it's in a liquid form, a tincture, liquid drops. I just took some of his this morning. I take his and I take mine. I get them from both. Just make sure it's naturally occurring. And it says right here, plant here. Ours says.
Oh, I know who that guy is. So he does a lot of stuff with like Alex Jones, Edward Group, right? I think
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I found him.
Okay, I don't know him, but yeah,
it's a small world. My formulator, Dr. Treadway, was originally going to be Alex's like doc, but he couldn't commit to being on the show all the time because he's from Texas, but he also has our labs in California, and he's got a place in Florida, and he couldn't do it, so he got Dr. Group. And then years later, then I met Dr. Treadway through Dr. Brian Clement and Anna Maria Clement of the Hippocrates Health Institute. I went through 30 different formulators and labs until I found Dr. Treadway. And he was the only one that like understood what I was talking about. And he was like just such a purist, right? And I was looking for somebody that had what was called Kirlian photography. It's a way to measure like frequency and energy. And it's pretty cool. And nobody even knew what I was talking about. It was like the teacher at Peanuts, like, wah, wah, wah. They didn't even know what I was doing. And then I said, Dr. Treadway, do you have Kirlian photography? And he's like, oh, yes, we have 2 of those machines here. And I'm like, no way. And he knew all about it. And he's actually taught me some more stuff about it. See, I saw pictures of people when I was at the Institute, and they'll play these videos. Like there was an old man sitting in a chair and a little 3-year-old, 4-year-old running circles around him. And you could see the energy or the frequency coming off the child, like almost like a comet tail going behind the kid. And then when the kid jumped in the grandpa's lap, and as soon as they made contact, both of their frequencies grew and got more. So it's energy and frequency. Then they took another one. They had somebody eating like a hamburger and a French fries and a milkshake. And every time that person ate that, their Adam's apple would go up and go down. You could literally on this Kirlian photography see their frequency or their life force go down, down, down. Then they gave him a bunch of water, waited 30 minutes, and then they gave him a fresh pressed green juice. And every time that guy took a drink of that green juice and his apple went up and down, his energy, his frequency on that machine, you could see it going up and growing. So it's kind of like a night scope where you can see like a frequency, right? So that's why I like Dr. Treadway so much, is because when the supplements are done being processed, you can actually look at them and see the life force. That's why I always tell people in our products, like our Green 85, don't blend it in a blender if you can, because you're going to knock out all the hard work we did to keep the life force, because the enzymes that are active in here, they are the carriers of the electric that are actually.
Oh, thank you for saying that, because I probably totally would have done it and put it into a blender with maybe another fruit smoothie or something and messed it all up. So.
Yeah, so it'll still work, but it's not. You're missing out on a key component that you're not going to get from most supplements, because most people don't know this. That's why when we have when we used to do like shows all the time and people would see us in person, we'd get these intuitives, these Reiki people coming by, and they take a shot of our greens, and then they stop, and their eyes get this big. They're like, what is in this? Oh my God, I'll take 6. And then the people there working were like, what's going on? Because they knew there was something special about it. See, we took the time to not kill the enzymes. We didn't kill the life force. We didn't kill the electric. So this will actually give your cells a charge, just the way that restructured that water I was telling you about.
No, it's fascinating. But thank you for all the information you've had. Again, that's chemicalfreebody.com. You're Tim James. Can you let people know? I guess they can find you there. But let's see, you've got your links to your podcast there. You want to talk a little bit about your podcast and pimp that and let people know what kind of information they can expect to hear on your podcast?
Yeah, man. So you can just go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's probably the best way to find me. I'm going to pull it up right now. And there's a link there for the podcast, but we're on iTunes and Spotify, YouTube, if you want to go see me and whoever I had on talking to people. And we've had some pretty big names on. We've had Del Bigtree, and I've had, Dr. Joel Kahn, and we had Epicenter nurse Erin Olcheski. I actually got her hooked up with Ricky to get her on Union of the Unwanted.
Was she the one who was in she was in the Elmwood Hospital down in New York City?
Elmhurst. Yeah, Elmhurst.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I got her book, actually. I just bought her book, so I'm going to read it this week.
Yeah, she's really cool. I had her on, let's see, when did she come on? It was, here's another good one. Episode 38, I had on Rebecca Harder, a veteran. Her name's Gastrogirl, everything colon health. She's run a colon hydrotherapy clinic for years. So if those want to really get into that.
Or Pat Militich, did you have him on as well?
Yeah, I've had him on. Sam Sorbo, reducing COVID homeschooling stress for families. That's a really good one for homeschoolers. Sean Inton, the stroke hacker and traumatic brain injuries. That was a good one. I had civil rights attorney Brian Fiesta on, his vaccine injured son and medical freedom. But I would suggest you go back in the show early on, I did a few episodes. Episode number 1 was the story behind the Health Hero Show and Chemical Free Body. I actually interviewed our formulator, Dr. Treadway. Episode number 2 is the daily detox method for energy and longevity. Episode 4 is 98% of supplements suck and why we need good ones. And then I've got some other ones in there, like food combining, episode 7. That's a very important thing. If you want to take your health to the next level, I teach a whole class here locally called Proper Food Combining. It's a game changer. And then another good one, our most actually watched episode, was the Revolution in Muscle Building with Dr. John Jaquish. And then I did one on intermittent fasting, episode 10, how to improve your sleep naturally, episode 11. There's just a lot of good stuff in there. A lot of these core basic things like detox, nutrition, sleep, fasting, things that people want to know. I just went deeper on it, and a lot of good free information there on the Health Hero Show podcast.
Yeah, well, no, he is Tim James. I'm Tim Picciott, and we've got John Snyson, and we want to thank Tim for being on the show today and having just, great information, because really in this day and age, I mean, it's always in any day and age, the most important thing you can do is taking care of yourself. I mean, we talk a lot about, different wealth stuff that's going on, but your wealth means nothing if you don't have your health. And so I think that's something that Tim certainly appreciated, being a former financial advisor, now being in the healthcare space. But again, that's chemicalfreebody.com. And thank you so much, Tim, for being with us today.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, this is Tim Picciott with the Liberty Advisor. And if you got into Bitcoin early, you got into crypto early, and you're sitting on some massive gains, I helped pioneer some strategies in early 2017 where you can actually sell your Bitcoin or crypto into a certain type of trust, bypass all capital gains legally, and then also get a tax break on top of that. Now, this is not going to work for most people out there. This is really kind of designed for, more 7-figure type gains. You're probably going to want to be over the age of 35. But, the older you are, the more, the lesser cost basis you have, the lower your cost basis, the better off this will be. And this is, the return on doing this type of planning is insane. I mean, you think, I'm on Jekyll Island, Georgia right now. We have right behind us Jekyll Island Club, which is where the plan for the Federal Reserve was hatched. And when you see all these guys say they gave away all their money, they didn't really give away all their money. So if you want to have the same type of strategies, the same type of planning as the they, them, those who are running the world, who are all plotting for the world domination, then that is a plan that I can help you out with. Now, I didn't make the rules. I'm just, using the rules to my advantage, to your advantage. And please check out the links down below for more information on how we can help give you a free consultation, and also see if working with myself, Tim Picciott, the Liberty Advisor, is something that can help you and your family on a better path. Thank you.